Have you ever felt out of place, as if you think too much, feel too much, and see things that no one else seems to notice? If so, take a deep breath, because this may not be a defect. Today, neuroscience and psychology will reveal what really happens in the brains of people who live in this constant mental whirlwind. And you may discover that what you always thought was too much is exactly what makes your mind unique. The first thing scientists has realized is simple but powerful. Smarter brains don't sit still. They function like cities that never sleep. There is intense traffic of information, connections, and decisions happening all the time. In neuroscience, we call this high synaptic density, which simply means that your neurons communicate with each other more quickly. But this efficiency comes at a price: energy expenditure. The harder the brain works, the more fuel it consumes. And this leads to the famous mental exhaustion. That's why, after a day of thinking too much, you may feel physically tired, even if you haven't done anything physically. And what happens when this brain activity doesn't let up? You enter the realm of excessive thinking, the infamous overthinking. The intelligent brain has a natural tendency to look for patterns. It wants to understand, connect, anticipate. But sometimes it finds patterns where none exist. It's as if your brain is such a good detective that it starts investigating even things that aren't crimes. Science shows that this type of mind continues to process information even when at rest. And that explains why you may be lying down, tired, but with your head spinning with 1,000 ideas, reviewing conversations, imagining futures. It's your mental engine revving at full speed, even at a red light. But here comes one of the quietest and most painful parts of this process: cognitive loneliness. It's when you feel like you think in a way that few can keep up with. It's not pride or intentional isolation. It's just noticing nuances, details, and emotions that many people simply don't notice. The brain, functioning at a different pace, also seeks different stimuli. Dopamine and serotonin, two chemical messengers of pleasure and well-being, behave differently in more active minds. They need more complex experiences, deeper conversations, and more authentic sensations to feel the same satisfaction that others get from the basics. And when that is lacking, there is a void that is difficult to explain. Being surrounded by people, but still feeling alone. And it's not just thinking too much, it's feeling too much as well. Intelligent people tend to have a more sensitive emotional system, activating areas of the brain such as the anterior cingulate cortex and the insula, which process empathy and emotional pain. In other words, it's like having an emotional antenna that's always on. You feel what others are feeling even when they try to hide it. You absorb a friend's sadness, the tension in a room, the coldness in someone's gaze. That's beautiful, but it's also heavy. Because while the world protects itself with emotional filters, your brain feels everything in high definition. But here's the most important point: this intensity is not a defect, it's a gift. Neuroscience shows that highly connected brains are also more creative, adaptable, and resilient. They transform pain into understanding, doubt into insight, chaos into meaning. The difference lies in learning how to channel this power, not fight against it. Writing down repetitive thoughts, limiting rumination time, seeking quality silence. All of this teaches the brain to breathe. Because intelligence without rest turns into anxiety, but intelligence with balance turns into wisdom. So if you feel different, tired of thinking so much, or emotionally exhausted, understand this: you are not broken. You just see the world with more layers than most. And what seems like weight is actually depth. Neuroscience explains it. But what you do with it, that's what defines your genius. Share this video with someone who feels the world with the same intensity. Because deep minds don't need to isolate themselves. They just need to recognize each other. And if this content has added value to your life in any way, help us by leaving your like and subscription so you can show us that we're doing a good job. See you soon.